OG Pizza in Essex is locally owned and operated and is a proud sponsor of your Essex 73s. Give our boys Bill and Justin a call today for a handmade pizza made with quality ingredients. Call them at 519-776-0800 or visit them in Essex at Unit 1 on Talbot Street North, number 292. Original Guys Pizza Pies. Give them a try. What's going on, all you beauts and beauties? Welcome to the Hat Trick Hockey Podcast, brought to you by GL Heritage, the official brewery of the HTH Podcast. I am your host, Brett Hedges, alongside the creator of the show, Ant Gaudette. Ant, it's been too long. What the hell you been up to? How you doing, my friend?
Well, we've been getting the old garage here all set up for us to do some content creation, shall we call it?
Yeah.
But yeah, we're kind of getting it set up. We're working on it slowly but surely. It's really starting to come together now. Hockey's in full swing. We're getting ready. We're bearing down on the playoffs in the NHL. The threes are in the playoffs. Everybody's around here is pretty well in the playoffs. Spits are getting ready to get down to it. So I'm just looking forward to finally getting back on this show and talking about some hockey. So
For
what
sure.
about
It
you? What
is
about you? What's going on?
it is March break, so everything's
Ooh,
going crazy. I just finished up doing the national championships for the U Sports track and field championships at the University of Windsor. I did that
that's
for
a
3 days
grind.
on CBC and Cogeco's Your TV. It was a lot of fun, and it was a really fun experience. I worked with some really great people from around the province, and we put together a really good product, and I'm really happy about what we did there. So,
So
but
so you were on the national broadcast.
well, yeah. So our local team down here, so Cliff, who we work with on our hockey broadcast for Windsor Spitfires,
Yeah.
he was our lead producer for the U Sports Track and Field Championships at the University of Windsor because we're local. They brought in a bunch of people from around the province, and I think a couple of people from Quebec too, to do the French broadcast. We did French and English for the first time ever on your
Wow.
TV, and we did the track and field championship for 3 days. On day one, lot we it takes a while to get into like your kind of your groove of things, and like we got through some technical issues and just some little minor glitches while the things were still setting up and whatnot. But once we got into the flow of things, dude, everything was really, really smooth and really, really fun. Big shout out to all of our people from across the province that put that together. It was great.
And Brett on the national stage. Not a big deal on CBC, right?
Yeah,
Wasn't it on
so yeah,
CBC?
so this was on, yeah, you could watch this on like CBC Gem. Like they were picking it up, and if you were a Cogeco subscriber or on the province, you were getting it, and I think it was in some markets in Quebec as well.
Yeah.
So CBC had like the digital platform of it. Like they put it on their digital platforms on their YouTube channel and on their CBC Gem app. So it was like because they cover all of U Sports, like a lot of the national championships.
Yeah.
And so yeah, so we were on CBC digitally, and we were on linear TV locally and across the province.
Look at you, all growed up.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, dude. It was a great time, but really happy. It's good to, track and field season's over. It's time to turn our attention down to hockey full time now, and let's talk about the PJHL, my friend.
Oh, where do you want to
So since
start?
since the last time that we've recorded, we are now in the PJHL Stobbs Division semifinals, so or
Yeah.
the quarter, like the PJHL quarterfinals, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, the Essex 73s in game one against the Blenheim Blades, a team who defeated the Moortown Flags in 6 games to move on to the
Yeah.
second round. They pushed Essex to the brink in game one. Essex was up 3-0. They came back, Blenheim came back and tied it 3-3. Essex gets a late goal to win 4-3 in that one. Then on the Sunday for game two, Blenheim packs their barn with
Yeah.
over 800 people, and Colquhoun. This game all goes all the way into overtime. It's back and
Yeah.
forth battle. It ends up 3-3. And we were actually at your house watching this game. And what did you see in game two, and let's go back and forth on this little here because this
Well,
was really tight hockey. It was fun.
game two, let me say something. The Blenheim
Over
Blades,
800 fans
the
packed the
Blenheim
bar.
Blades
They
are
packed the bar
never gonna back down from anybody. They never have, they never will. And they just keep coming. Dude, I believe in games one and two, we blew, I think, 2 and 3 goal leads possibly.
Yep,
Um, and it was just they keep coming. They don't give up. And that's the thing. And they got these two brothers on this team. The Graham brothers,
yep.
I believe, right?
Colton, Colton and
These
Cameron
these two are in on fucking everything. They'll dump the puck in, they'll hammer you, and then they're like setting each other up for goals. Like it's not even funny how easy these two make it look. And like
Mhm.
they're making it look easy against in round one, probably arguably one of the best goalies in the league, and Johnny Chartrand.
That's
So they
right.
got past him in 6 games, and then now look what they're doing to us. Like they're pushing us to the brink, man. And like I don't know, we'll kind of hop in the game. Well, at the end of game two, sorry, there was a dump in overtime, and the Hound Dog caught the Blades on a bad change. So
For
what
sure.
he
Yeah,
did
we're talking
is,
about
yeah,
overtime.
he fired it up the ice. He hit Crawford. Crawford went in 2-on-1 with Big Red there, and bam, lights out, game over, and it was 2-0 73s. Do you want to get into game three real quick? Because game three was fucking awesome.
I did, yeah. So you tell me about game three. I just wanted to go over just some of some of the final points there. Essex wins game two in
Yeah,
overtime to go 2-0. It
yeah,
was a great stretch pass from Brogan Calhoun
yeah,
while Blenheim was changing that set up Matt Crawford, who then set up Gabe Barrett for
yeah.
the tap in there.
Big Red.
So they go up 2-0.
Hmm.
But Essex put 48 shots on goal in that game. Blenheim put 36 on goal there. And then game three, take us through three, my friend, because we talked about it after game
Well,
two
mhm.
that we didn't know if the tight turnaround was going to favor Essex or Blenheim more. And obviously it turned out to favor Essex more. I mean, Blenheim more because they
Yeah,
came out firing in game three.
and that's the thing. And look at this. First 2 stars of the game. The fucking Graham brothers. Like, you know what I mean? These two combined for
Yeah.
probably 8 points last night. Like it was the Graham show. And these, like I said, these two guys, first of all, Seth Martineau to open up the scoring, dangled about 3 guys and went roof daddy on a backhand. So that was an absolute beautiful goal.
Mhm.
And then it was back to backs. And then the Blades, Jack Lewis and Colton Graham scored back to back in about 40 seconds apart. And then it was 2-1 Blades. We had a hard time clearing the puck away from the net last night, and I'm not like I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like normally that's something that we don't like. We don't just let pucks sit there. And then surprise, surprise, Patrick McManus. We had the man advantage. He snaps one home from the point, like top shelf too. And then next thing you know, again in 5 minutes, Colton Graham, Austin Drew, they go back to back, 2 goals in about 5 minutes. After the first period, it was 1-2. It was 4-2 Blenheim after the first period.
Yeah, they took big
When's the
control then.
last time a team even let alone put up four on Essex, let alone doing it in the first period?
Yeah, it's definitely rare territory for sure. And they needed to have a really big second period
Yes.
to get themselves back in it.
And which,
But
by the way, too, last night Blenheim also chased away from the net Adrian McBride, who has been stellar all season, one of the top goalies in the league, and they chased him away from the net last night. So they were all over us, dude, to start, like all
yes,
over
they
us.
were. Yeah,
But
they after those first three goals, Adrian gets pulled, and then late in the first period, Blenheim gets a power
yeah,
play late, and they
yeah.
score. That was
It's,
Drew.
with 49 seconds left in the period, those ones in the final minute are a real kick in the dick.
Mhm. And they've done that quite a few times, and they've done that in this series already, and they did it
Yeah.
again in game three to take a
Mhm.
big 4-2 lead into the first period break. And
Yeah.
then in the second period, get another power play early on, and then 3 minutes into the second period, they score again. This time it was Matt Hayter
Yeah.
from Landon Copeland and Brad McAlpine with the big power play goal to go up 5-2. And this is some place that Essex has not been in a very long time,
No.
down three in a hockey game in their
Yeah.
own barn, nonetheless.
Yes, but like I will say though, when it got to 5-2, like you could just feel the energy just being sucked out of the rink. Like the Blades
Mhm.
did exactly what they wanted to do. They came in, they took the crowd out of it early,
Mhm.
and then but however though, the threes I knew after the first period, I'm like Tony Prosky is probably fucking losing his mind in that dressing room right now. Losing his mind. It was the worst I'd ever seen us play.
Yeah.
It was the worst I had ever seen us play. But we rally the troops. It's 5-2 now. We rally the troops. Guess who is? Bam, surprise, surprise. On the power play, Austin Gouvermont. Goovy, it's nice to see him get back into the groove. He scores on the power play. 5-3 now. That was at the 13:52 mark. Okay.
Yeah, that was after a goaltender interference call against McAlpine at
Yeah.
13:09 of the
Yeah.
second period. So Essex got
Yeah.
a big power play there. So 5-3. And then what did you feel like momentum after it hit 5-3? Did you
When it
feel like
hit
the guys were going or?
when it hit 5-3, I'm like, okay, it's now we're later into the like second period. It's 5-3. I'm starting to feel a little better about it. And then with 56 seconds left in the period, McManus
Mhm.
scored with the man advantage as well. So that was another power. I believe he had two power play goals on the night. And it was kind of like the same
Yes.
thing. Like he shot it from the point and it was just top shelf. I don't even think the goalie seen it.
And that
And
was that was after a slash call against Landon Copeland at 18:07. So with the main
yeah,
advantage, that was their third power play goal
yeah.
in just before the second period there,
So
and a huge goal for them to
yeah.
go into the break.
So quick note before we're even going into the third here,
Hmm.
both teams combined for 15 power plays, and there was and there was five power play goals scored
Sick.
in this hockey game. So the special teams were doing some thumping on both sides. Let's put it that way.
Oh
But
yeah, these guys can work the puck around. Like, and that's
oh
why I'm
yeah.
telling people, man, if you can get out to one of these games, you guys will definitely get your money's worth because these boys are cooking right now.
Let me tell you something too. This series is a fucking war. This
Yep.
series is a war. They're hitting. They're I'm telling you right now, they're playing for keeps. Let's put it that way. This isn't a regular season game. This is the playoffs and everybody's showing their teeth. Let's put it that way. It's nasty out there. I love
Good.
it.
For sure. Let's go through the third
Yep.
period
So,
just before we go there. So talk to us about we saw some goals in the third period
yep.
there.
So in
And
the yeah, so in the third, we come out, it's 5-4. We're all over them. We're ripping the puck from everywhere. Um, pressure, pressure, pressure. Blenheim's goalie. Who was in that last night? Was it?
Van Coyley.
Yeah. Okay. So this kid has been phenomenal all series. Like Mr. like Michelin man, he's seen so much freaking rubber during this series. But he stood on his head. But so at the 218 mark, I believe it was Dembinski from Martineau and Jimenez. But yeah, he scores. I believe it was on a backhand. It's from like the slot area, ties it up.
Mhm.
Place erupts, goes crazy. Because now it's like first thing I thought too is he scored. I'm like, we're gonna go to overtime. But then,
Yeah.
kind of in the back of my head, I had the feeling like, is this game really gonna go to overtime the way this game's been going? Because it's been so back and forth. But then, surprise, surprise, Johnny on the spot. Who was it? I believe it was Colton Graham. Guess who assisted?
Cameron Graham.
There you go. One he had one of the assists. The other went to Dominic Gore. I hope I said that right, Dom. But yeah, and then next thing, and this was at 16:15, so just under 4 minutes left in the game. There was 3 minutes and 45 seconds left. Math guy, when they scored this goal, you could hear a fucking pin drop in that arena when that goal was scored. All you could hear was all the Blenheim fans.
Good.
I'm telling you, man, hats off to them. Hats off to the Blades. They came in and they did their job, man. And Nate Dowling too, like tried to get the boys going in a second period scrap or whatever. I look across the ice, no one's fucking banging on the bench. No one's fired up, screaming, nothing. Like we were flat, dude. Flat.
Yeah.
I hope we never play a game like that because if we do, we're in trouble. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie.
Full marks for the 73s for coming back down 5-2.
Oh,
They scored to
100%.
make it
100.
5-5 right
They
early in the
never gave
third
up.
period too, right? But
Mhm.
obviously like you said, Van Coyley stood on his head.
Yeah.
He's been fantastic all series long. And now this becomes a a series in which you got to go win some games on the road to close this
Mhm.
out.
And now let me tell you, they put almost 900 in there last time. What do you think they're going to put in there this time? Telling
Yeah,
you
so
right now, you're going into a packed barn. It's going to be loud. It's going to be rowdy. It's going to be like telling you right now. It's gonna be a dogfight. Let's put it that way. I can't wait to watch. Like this is what we want. We don't want fucking sweeps all over the league and this and that. Like we want the series. We want series to be good. You want it to be good hockey. Like what fun is it going in there watching or a game where you know it's gonna be a slaughter fest? Like so.
and arguably going into the playoffs, Blenheim was the league's hottest team, right? They got some players at the drop down deadline. They really
Yep.
beefed up their squad early in the year.
Yeah.
Waddock, we got the Graham brothers there. We got
Mhm.
Hayter, the Matt and Jamie Hayter
Yep.
doing well. We got McAlpine, their captain, mixing it up, right? Like they
Mhm.
deserve one of those wins, right? You thought
Yeah. Full
maybe
marks, man.
when I was watching on when we were watching on Sunday, we were thinking, okay, well they went to overtime. Well, if Blenheim can maybe ride the storm out early in overtime and kind of set things up, maybe like toward the end, like their speed and their
Yeah.
quick offense would lead them to an overtime win. Essex catches them on a bad change, Brogan
Mhm.
Calhoun with a nice stretch pass, and then they get their best opportunity and they cashed in right to take the 2-0
I'm
lead.
gonna tell you
Blenheim
the
came back 2 days later in Essex on the road, and they put up a seven spot. They
yeah.
scored an empty net goal at the end there by McAlpine, put
Yeah.
seven up on the 73s on their own home ice, and now we've got ourselves a series. This is
Oh
what
yeah,
hockey's all
and
about.
the Blades are flying right now. So I'm telling you, they're a quick team and they're physical. So
Game four goes Thursday, March 13th at 7 o'clock at Blenheim.
yeah,
Game five would be the next night
yeah.
against uh, right back at Essex. So no, regardless, we need at least 5 or 6 games, and that's all going to be determined by how this next game goes. Five,
Th-
6 or 7
yes,
games right now,
that game Thursday is either going to be a stranglehold coming home or we're in a fucking drop down drag out war. So, and it wouldn't even surprise me if it's a war, and that's nothing against the threes or anything. Just the Blades are just they're playing real good right now, man. So
for sure. Sometimes you get yourself into a series
yeah,
against two
and
hardworking teams, and
and yeah,
it's what you get.
guys, get out to these games. I'm telling you, man, you guys are missing out if you haven't went to these games. The hockey's we had a nice crowd there last night. That was a nice crowd for It was real nice. So, yeah, guys, get out, watch these games. Trust me, you will love it. And it's a nice kind of cheaper night out. Seats are only 11, $12 or something a piece. So, check
It
them out.
says that we had about 700 fans at the game last
Yeah,
night. That's pretty sweet. There
yeah.
might be a little bit more there based on that's just a
It
number, right?
it,
So
it looked like more.
in game two at Blenheim, though, their barn was packed, so I can't wait to
Yeah,
see
it was
what their
jammed.
barn looks like on Thursday night.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Jammed. More.
Any other thoughts on that series? Lakeshore is up 3-0 in
Yeah.
their series against Amherstburg. They've won their games by scores of 6-1, 5-0, and then in game three they win 3-1. It was actually 3-1 after the second period. No one scored there. And so Amherst with their best effort, but they still fall short. They're down 3-0. Games three, games 4 and 5 are the same as in the Essex and Blenheim series, Thursday and Friday. And then Sunday would be game six back in Amherstburg if the Admirals are able to knock off a couple of wins there. Game seven, if necessary, we'll be back on Tuesday, March 18th. Let's just go through the schedule for the Essex 73s before we go to the next topic, all right?
Mm-hmm.
So Friday, Thursday, like we said, March 13th is game four. Friday, game five would be March 14th. Game six on Sunday, if necessary, March 16th, and then Tuesday in Essex for game seven, if
Yeah.
necessary. Tuesday, March 18th at 7 p.m. at Essex there.
And for anybody who wants to watch these games, NBC Sports Engine is the site that you want.
Okay.
And yeah, you can go on there and you can click and you can if we're at home, you'll hear the boys on the call. If we're on the road, you'll still get all 73 games though and stuff like
Excellent.
that. So guys, check it. I believe sorry that the app's league wide, but you can see all 73 games. So I watch a bunch of teams on it, man. It's awesome. So check that out too. NBC
Awesome.
Sports Engine.
Excellent. All right, let's move on to the OHL. The Windsor Spitfires are flying right now. They are in second place.
Yep.
They clinched their division
Yeah.
after our most recent recording. So they went from worst in their division to first. So a big turnaround for them. Congratulations to the entire organization for that turnaround.
Mhm.
Uh, Bill Bowler, last year was rough. The start, Jared Smith unfortunately gets let go. Casey Torres rights the ship. They get themselves a really high draft pick. And now with Greg Walters at the helm, he's really helped. He's really taken the helm of this team
Yep.
and steered the ship to a really respectable path. They're at 89 points right now, and we're going to talk about their past two games before previewing the rest of their regular season. Just off the cuff, buddy, what are your thoughts on the Windsor Spitfires going from worst to first in the West Division?
I thought Bill Bowler was on the hot seat. I
Yeah,
thought
me and you had a lot of
I
conversations.
I thought he had a foot out the door, man. Like I thought he was gonzo, but he recovered very well from the Shane Wright trade and a few of the deals that he made where he was able to generate a lot of draft picks.
Yes.
And by him doing that, he was able to just restructure the team in a way that he thought was the best way to do it. We got the first overall pick with Mr. Belches. We brought him in. He's been great. Um, he was very smart in the draft and the way he drafted and his overagers that he took and a couple of the trades that he made throughout the season and stuff. He has done a magnificent job. And I don't even want to call it a rebuild. I'm going to call it a
Oh,
restructure, is what I'm
yeah.
going to call that. And he just, yeah, it was just a masterful job. And the team looks great. Let's face it, it's always going to be a dogfight with our rivals just down the 401 there in London. But hey, that's what makes the OHL great. But when it comes to the Spitfires, I'm really happy with where they are right now. Can they make a run? Absolutely. I don't think they're going to go away quiet. Let's put it that way. So, and that's all we can ask. So, as for as let's put it this way, it could be a lot worse. So, I'm really happy where it's at right now, personally.
I I completely agree. I think that the deals that he had to make last year at the deadline to pick up a few extra pieces and then trade off a couple of those players that were going to be overagers that he
Yeah.
didn't have slots for them, right? Picking up a couple of picks for each of those players or at least one of them,
Mhm.
and then using those picks in a really appropriate fashion. He picked up a lot of really good players. And so in the OHL, you can only dress 4 16-year-olds at a time,
Yeah.
and he has had 4 16-year-olds in the lineup for a majority of the season. So the fact that he got four roster players from this draft alone is incredible, right? Sometimes
Mhm.
you only get one, maybe two guys that are 16 that are going to be on your roster that can actually play. He's got
Yeah.
at least four, and he's got other players down in junior B that they've been able to call up and take the place of those 16-year-olds when they needed to.
It's right.
Max Brocklehurst, as a prime example there. We haven't seen him a lot, but when we've seen him, we saw that this kid's got a lot of potential. So I think he deserves a lot of credit, and Frank Avola and their scouting staff too, and for the entire organization of not hitting the panic button. Right, it's easy to try and just delete whatever whoever's in charge, or or fire whoever's in charge when things don't go well. For them to have the patience and the kind of business savvy, to trust Bill that
Mhm.
we're gonna be better next year, and this is what I'm gonna do, and this is how we're gonna do it. Right, he used a lot of you got to pick up players in the U18 draft. He picked up Elia Protas in the CHL import draft, which is absolutely incredible. We'll talk about Protas and Greentree by themselves in a little bit, but the
Yeah.
fact that he was able to get five new players on the roster by the draft, by the priority selection, the
Mhm.
rookie draft, and then the CHL import draft, five new roster players on your team, incredible job. And then at the deadline this year, he picks up more players like Luke McNamara, who
Yeah.
is most likely going to be an overager for this team next year, and
Mhm.
Wyatt Kennedy, a defenseman, who is most likely also going to be an overager for this team next year. He used the picks that he got back from those trades and picked those guys up too. So,
Mhm.
um, just a really smart job and a really methodical approach to things. Like obviously picking up a really talented coach in Greg Walters helps as well. But for Greg Walters to be successful, he needs to have groceries to cook. And Bill
Yeah.
Bowler did a really good job of restocking the shelves for him to pull out those groceries. And to put
Oh
it in
yeah.
a fun term.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the past two games, the Windsor Spitfires most recently lost to the Kitchener Rangers 7-4 in that contest, but we saw some amazing plays and some amazing
Mhm.
back and forth hockey. Talk to us about what you saw between Windsor and the Kitchener Rangers, Anthony.
Well, surprise, surprise, my boy Noah, hat trick.
First career
Um,
OHL hat trick
yeah.
for Noah Morneau. He
Or,
actually has
yeah.
4 points on the night to
Yeah.
get the overall second star.
Mhm.
He's just been incredible all season long for the Windsor Spitfires.
Yes, he has. And guess who had the other goal in that game? Liam Greentree. Have you ever heard of him? So the thing is like this Morneau kid, man, like I've been like pumping his tires for a little bit now, and the past like I'm gonna say 10 games has been just on a tear. He's scoring in almost every game. Now he's now throwing up a hat trick. I think he's got a Gordy hat trick in there too somewhere. This
100% he
kid is
does.
just, I just love his game. I just love what he does for the Spits. I love what he brings to the lineup for the Spits. He's a face-off guy. You can play him in all situations and stuff like that. However, when it comes to this game, it was like, it was what? So we'll fast forward real
It
quick.
was
What it
two
was
two. It was 2-2
2-2
after two
going,
periods.
yeah, 2-2 after two. And then there was one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 goals scored in the third between these two teams. Obviously, it wasn't the number that we wanted for the Windsor Spitfires, but 7 goals in the third period. Did you see a lot of the goals? Like, were they like nice goals? Like, I didn't catch a lot of the third.
I didn't catch much of these. I'm not gonna lie this game.
Okay.
But obviously, if you give up 5 goals in the third period, you don't deserve to win.
I
And that's
also,
been a trend that for the Windsor Spitfires have had
yeah.
recently. Going back to a game that we covered on TV for against Flint. They
Hmm.
gave up 3 goals in the third period of that game. That was on the heels of the night before giving up 3 goals in the third period to the Sarnia Sting and losing that game in overtime as well. So it's an unfortunate trend that we've seen against
Hmm.
Kitchener, and it continued against Erie 2 nights later. So Windsor ended up losing 7-4 in that game. Carter Froggatt ended up making he ended up making 24 saves on 29 shots, and then they got a empty net goal
Hmm.
as well. So 7-4. Kitchener's a really good team. They're going to be second in their division and end up third in the conference. I don't think that you can be ashamed to lose against that team. You gave them 6 power play opportunities. You gave up 2 goals on those, and you were in it in the third period,
Mhm.
and you just kind of lost in the back and forth there. So no shame there. They're down 5-4. They get 2 goals late to win 7-4. Let's move on to the next game, right?
Exactly. And the one goal that they got too, like Windsor made it 5-4 with like just under 4 minutes left there, as you just said, and then they didn't score again until the 18-minute mark. So
Mhm.
they're hanging in there with them. It's all good.
Yeah, that could potentially be a second round playoff matchup, right?
Yeah.
If Windsor's the 2 seed and Kitchener's the 3, should they get past the first round, that would be a really fun
Yeah.
round to cover and to watch. It'd be really good, fun hockey.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if Windsor would win that series though. Just going off the top of my head, that's a really solid squad in Kitchener, and their team is really good. And
Mhm.
Jackson Parsons is probably one of the best goaltenders in the CHL, if not the best goalie in the OHL. So that would be a really tough matchup, and it would be home ice. Put it this way, home ice would be crucial in that series if Windsor were to play Kitchener in the second round.
Yeah.
But we are looking in the future there. Let's move on
Mhm.
to their most recent game on Tuesday. It was Scooby Doo night at the WFCU Center. Ruby Ruby Roo. I know you were a Scooby Doo kid growing up, right, buddy?
Well, the Scooby snacks that I have nowadays are a little different from the ones I used to have when I was a kid, but
Oh, I see.
um yeah, they wore like different kind of like jerseys and stuff, right, too, right?
Yeah, they do a good job of doing like different theme nights and different kinds of
Don't they auction those off
jersey.
too?
Yeah, they'll have anytime there's a specialty jersey, they'll auction those off and like fans can bid on them, and I believe it always
Mhm.
goes to a certain charity. I'm not sure which one it supported last night. I apologize for that, but it's always cool to see them do different things. It was Scooby Doo night. I think this
Oh,
game coming up on Thursday is going to be like PJ and movie night because it's March break, right? There's a lot of families at
but
home,
just
and
what night is it?
it's pajamas and movies night
Oh,
on their
well,
Thursday
I
game.
can't walk around there in my underwear, so I guess I can't really
You're
go
out.
to that game. That's
Let
that's all. That's my PJs, man.
Yeah, let's talk
I,
about
I don't
their
think I
game
don't think they would
on
really
Tuesday.
appreciate that.
No, it's like you can't drop off your kids wearing a robe at school.
Yeah, sir. You can't wear a robe to the game, sir.
Um,
Hilarious.
against
Cold out
the
here.
Erie Otters on Tuesday. Windsor had Scooby Doo night, and they
Huh?
were putting up the points early and often, my friend. They were up 5-0 in the first period. They end up going into the break at 5-1, but holy cow, what a start for the Windsor Spitfires going up 5-0 in the first.
And look who's all over the score sheet. Greentree, Protas, Greentree, Protas. Like just goals, assists. Like
Yeah.
AJ Spelzy. Whoa, shocker. Look who assisted. Whoa, look at that. It was Protas.
Yeah.
Crazy, eh? Isn't it just wild? These guys get like 700 points a year each.
Yeah. I was listening to the pregame and Greg Walter said that he was going to with the fact that the Windsor Spitfires are locked into second place, they can't
Yeah.
catch London and they can't fall out of second to Saginaw based on where they are. He said he was going to mix things up offensively. That's why you're seeing different
Mhm.
goal combinations there. Jack Nesbitt normally doesn't play with with Greentree and Protas, but they put him on the power play in the first period and they connected.
Mhm.
Uh, well, that's that first power play unit, right?
So,
Jack Nesbitt's been fantastic all year.
so would
Then a
you
couple minutes
would
later,
you
sorry,
would you rest guys?
no, not no. Considering that they have a couple of big games against London coming up, like they might rest one game, but against those big games against in London toward the
Yeah,
stretch,
I get that, but
we're
I
not
just mean
resting.
like if you're playing like one of the lower seeded teams, like are you like resting a couple guys? Like are you gonna give Spellsy a rest? Are you gonna give Protus
Maybe
a rest? Are you
like
gonna
respectfully, they're going to be playing Sault Ste. Marie next week. You might see one or two of their top guys maybe take
Yeah,
a
because
rest.
like why wouldn't you give these guys a rest? Because that way, like I don't know, just because it's gonna be if you're gonna make that run in the playoffs, think about the teams that you're gonna have to. You don't want anybody nicked up. So
For sure. I was going to talk about that more when we schedule their
Oh yeah.
preview their schedule down the road. They're up 5-1 after the first period, and then that bad trend that we've seen
Mhm.
throughout the year, they start letting that team back in. At the end of the second period, it was 5-3, or sorry, 6-3, with Dylan Edwards getting 2 goals in this in at the end of the one period. With Dylan Edwards getting 1 goal at the end of the first period, and then again midway through the second, and then Pano who is one of the better players in the OHL, he scored his
Mhm.
28th goal at 16:46 of the second period. Thankfully for Windsor, Elia Protas scored at 19:01 of the second period to put them up 6-3 at the second period break, or what they thought was going to be 6-3 at the second period break,
Mhm.
before Callum Hughes scored at 19:57, just 2.5 seconds left in the second period to make it 6-4. So Windsor looks good. They come up with a 5-4 lead. They go into the second period break up
Mhm.
5-4, up 6-4, and then it was just a wild third period after that. Noah Erliden, who we've talked about in our broadcast earlier in the year, he looked really shaky early on, but credit to their head coach for keeping him in there.
Yeah.
And you know what? He locked it down pretty well after that. Any thoughts going into the third?
Well, no, but sometimes when things get a little rough during a game, sometimes the best thing to do is just to play through it. You know,
Yeah.
just keep going, just grit your teeth and go through it. And he was pulled right through just fine, didn't he?
Yeah. It was a really back and forth third period. It thought that maybe Windsor was going to escape with the 6-4 win, but Gabriel Frasca from Erie scores at 17:44 to make it 6-5. And people are starting to clench their sticks a little bit, and people are starting to like tug their
Potholes
collar.
are puckering.
Yeah, and it was really tight toward the end there at around the 2:16 mark. I remember hearing Manny Pava talking
Yeah.
about how tense the moment was. And then, but Windsor wins some key faceoffs in their own zone. They're able to clear the puck. And then Johnny on the spot, no more, no, scores the empty net goal with 27 seconds left to save the win. The Spitfires go up 5-1 and end up having to win 7-5. That is junior hockey, my friend, if I've
Yeah.
ever heard of it,
I'll
right?
take it. Let's get out of here with a win.
Uh,
Congrats
Joey
to
Costanzo,
Noah, though. Congrats,
yeah,
Noah Morno.
for sure. After giving up 5 goals in the first period, Noah Erliden ends up with 6 goals against on 37 shots, so he made 31 saves. Joey Costanzo had in 5 goals on 28 shots, so he made 23 saves in that one.
Wow.
Any other thoughts on the Windsor Spitfires before we look at how? I just wanted to talk about how incredible Liam Greentree and Elia Protas have been
Oh,
for the Windsor Spitfires this year.
is there anything that these two guys don't do? Because they'll score a goal and then the next shift they'll beat the shit out of you. Like these guys are like you know, there's just that's the thing about junior hockey players nowadays is a lot of well, and to me the top tier and I would put those guys in the top tier. Green Tree's already drafted and signed. Um, who else is signed? In Spelzy, I believe, is already signed now with the Blackhawks. I
Yep,
know we're not talking about him, but I'm just saying he's signed. But this Protus kid, holy shit. You think they're going to like him in Washington with his brother? Those two guys are both giants. I believe his brother just scored his 28th goal of the season last night.
you're right.
And it's like these guys, there's nothing that they can't do. They're both huge. Like I didn't realize how big these guys were. So I went to a game earlier this year with E, and we sat like second row, like right in the corner. And when they skated out at the start of the game, I was like, holy shit. Like these guys are huge. Protus is huge. Like I don't
Yeah,
know how anybody knocks that guy off the puck, but not only that is he big, he's so skilled. He sees the ice very well. He has an absolute cannon for a shot. Um, and like he will stand up for himself. He's not scared to do that either. But then you play him with this green tree. You play these two together, and then it's like twin towers out there, and they're dumping pucks in, hammering you, snapping it around to each other. Like they're on the power play, penalty kill together. Like there's nothing that these guys can't do in the OHL. I'm going to hate to see them play against each other when they both go into the NHL, but it's just they've been a treat to watch. Windsor fans, we don't really realize how lucky we are to watch
That's what I was
these
just supposed to say, man.
kids play before they go up into the NHL because guys like this are the future of hockey and they're right in our own backyard. And for us to be able to see them on a night in and night out is just enjoy it while you can because I'll tell you right now, these guys are going to be gone as soon as these NHL teams want them. Gonzo. So enjoy your time with them. Have certainly enjoyed watching them play, especially when they throw them on the same line. They're always entertaining when they play on a line together. But yeah, really looking forward to watching these two in the playoffs. You?
I couldn't agree more. They have one. So Greentree has 113 points, and Protas has 112.
Is that good?
They have the same amount of assists. The only difference is that Greentree has one more goal, 47 to Elia's 46. And so this is the first time that we've had two 100-point scorers on the same team for the Windsor
Okay,
Spitfires
and how
since the
many games
90s.
are left in the regular season?
So the we have five more games. So they've played 63 games. They've got five more games.
Okay,
So that's
question.
what I'm talking about. People need to realize that the fact that we haven't had two guys on the same team this good or this productive since the 90s. So if
Mhm.
you guys are going to come out and watch, you guys better come out before these guys start
Yeah,
the playoffs because who knows, once the playoffs go, you might get maybe two games,
yeah.
and if it goes bad in the first round, who knows, right? So
Mm.
there are three home games left for the Windsor Spitfires. If you want to see like generational players for our city,
Telling you,
you guys
man.
better get out, or you guys better get some playoff tickets, or
Yeah,
watch on TV. Please do it.
yeah, these guys are they're the real deal, man. Like I that's kind of sucks that eventually we're gonna see them go, but God, could you think that there's okay, here's a little trivia question for you, and I don't know the answer. I'm just speaking out of my butthole, but do you think they could both score 50?
That's what I'm
When's the last time Windsor had 250 goal scorers, if ever?
Yeah, it would have had to have been a while. I know they used to score a lot of goals in the 80s and 90s, but
So, but think
let's
about how
preview.
special this is.
Yes. So they've got 100, so Greentree 113 points. They're not going to catch Michael Misa
No,
for
but still,
leading the
it's a
league in
joke at
scoring.
this point. Like it's
Yeah. Misa's got 124 points. Nick Lardis just scored his 70th goal of the year. He's got 100.
70.
So yeah, he's got 70.
Holy
Liam Greentree
shit.
has 113 points. Protus has 112. So those are the top four scorers in the league. You talked
Oh,
about if they could score 50 each. I think that
yeah.
is definitely on the table. They have 5 games left. Do you
And
want to
one
talk?
has to get three and one has to get four, right?
Yes.
I mean, they're
And
just passing it to each other at this point, no?
well, they played primarily with each other. Yes. So it's all going to depend on who gets the
Hmm.
final touch on the puck, really.
Wow. I'd be like, puck's on your stick. No, buddy, puck's on your stick. No, puck's on your stick.
And I will say, when I was watching the Spitz game last night,
Hmm.
Greentree was looking for somebody to pass to with an open net. He could have fired it at the empty net. He found Noah Morneau and Noah scored in that
Hmm.
empty net. So I'm just talking about this guy's not chasing goals. You know what
No,
I mean?
no, he's a leader.
Yeah. So I
That's
just
why
wanted to
he
say
wears the
that
C. That's why he wears the C. And him knowing too that because they've probably played together their whole careers, their whole junior careers, pretty well, right? So, and he knows that Morneau, it's time for a Hattie, baby, and he got it. So it's perfect. That's what leaders do. That's a non-selfish play by a beauty leader. That's what that is.
for sure. The Windsor Spitfires have 5 games left on the regular season. Thursday, March 13th, the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds are in town. Sault Ste. Marie is fighting for the final playoff spot in the West with
Mhm.
sorry, with oh, why can't I say it? It with the Owen Sound Attack, pardon me. Owen Sound Attack. Sarnia a couple of points ahead of them. So Owen Sound and Sarnia and Sault Ste. Marie. One of those teams is going to be the 8 seed, and one of them might be one of them is going to be the 7 seed. Most likely, Sarnia will be the 7 seed. So the 8 seed is the last thing to be determined in the Western Conference. So that is Thursday, March 13th. And then on Saturday, March 15th, the Windsor Spitfires go on the road to the Saginaw Spirit. Me and Tristan will be in
Yeah.
the broadcast booth for not broadcast booth in the
In the
studio
studio. Yeah.
covering that game for your TV Windsor. And then the next day, Windsor's going to host London on Sunday afternoon at the WFC Center with a 4:05 start time. A huge game for the Spits this weekend, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's and you know what? It's a big test getting ready to go into the playoffs too. So just to see how everybody's, make sure we're firing on all cylinders, shall I say.
hmm The next week, they're going to finish things off with a home game against the Sarnia Sting on Thursday, March 20th, before going on the road to finish things off against the London Knights on Friday, March 21st. The playoffs would start the week after. Any thoughts on those final 5 games?
Giver. I would love to see those two score 50. I want
Yes.
it. So I want it bad. Bad, 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 bad. I want to see like I said, I'm gonna have to look that up maybe for like next show and see if they've ever had 250 goal scorers. Like I'm really intrigued by that.
That would be a historic season to
Mhm.
be sure. Right
Love
now,
it.
they're 113 and 112 points. Greentree with 47, Protas with 46 goals.
Telling
They've
you
got five
folks,
games left.
go
I
watch
think
these
they've
guys.
definitely got a chance.
Yeah,
They've definitely
I
got a
think
chance
so too.
for sure. The Spits have 89 points, so with 5 games left, they can't reach 100. I think they're going to end up maybe in the 95 to 96 point range. They
Yeah, I
might
think
drop
you're right.
2 or 3 games in the bottom stretch here. It just depends on who and or how they
Listen,
play
let's
on
just
those
go
nights.
into the playoffs with no one hurt or kicked out, and I'll be happy.
I agree. Um, any thoughts on the trade deadline for the Detroit Red Wings before we close the
Can
show?
can I hit something real quick before while we're kind of still on the spit? So I'll toss it out to everybody because he's already agreed to do it, but pretty soon we're going to be doing an interview with Steve Bell. So has agreed to come on the show and talk Windsor Spitfires and his career and stuff with us. So I'm gonna look on lining him up like real soon, considering we're getting ready to go into the playoffs here. So I'd like to do like a little preview kind of show with him. So look for that coming out like soon because Beller is a beauty. So can't wait to talk to him.
For sure. If you've got any fan questions, you could send us an
Yes,
email. You can
write
hit us up
us.
on social media too. We'd love to have some fan questions
Yeah,
for Steve Bell when he
yeah,
jumps on the show. He's a Windsor legend, been in the
yeah.
broadcasting business for over 40
He's
years.
he's for this area. Like he's like one of my white whales that I've kind of been wanting to interview and this and then now we started working with the Spits and we've been really diving into stuff with the Spits and doing broadcasts and stuff like that to where we're dialed right now. So I think now is the perfect time to get Steve on the show. So can't wait.
I couldn't agree more, especially given I'd love to hear his perspective on how kind of historic this season has
He's the
been
voice of
for.
the Spits, man.
Yeah.
Like he's a
I listen
beauty.
to
I
him
I
every week
fucking I love Steve Bell, man. I've listened to him since I was a kid. Awesome.
for sure. Yeah, looking forward to that. So if you have any questions for Beller, hit us up
Yep.
wherever
Let
you
us
want to
know.
hit us up. Any thoughts quickly on the Detroit Red Wings trade deadline or lack thereof before we move on to move on?
Well, can I fart into this microphone right now? Because that's about how I feel about it right now at this point. Because you know what? I'm tired of this shit, bro. Like, I understand. Like, listen, like Steve, like, so Steve Eiserman is, I get it. He's a fucking legend. Okay. I know he knows what he's doing. I understand. I can hear D-Mac's voice in the back of my head saying, just be patient. Like I can just hear it. And I get it. But I'm impatient. If you know me, I'm impatient. And it's been 7 years. We don't have a playoff game in LCA's history yet. Like we got Dylan Larkin with us, who's like played what one season where you got a few games in the playoffs, maybe in his rookie year.
Something like
He
that.
got a couple. He hasn't had anything since. This team needs to make the playoffs. It was disappointing. We're bringing Mrazek back for his fifth stint with us. Like, why are we bringing in another goalie? Like I don't get that move. We have Kosa ready to come up. We have like 17 goalies anyways. We have 734 draft picks. Like, why are we not using some of these draft picks to bring in guys to give us a little bump into the playoffs? Now we're in a skid. Our D looks like shit. We can't stop a fucking beach ball right now. I just, I don't get it. I feel like a fucking Leafs fan. I feel like a Leafs fan, right? Like, you know how the
Yeah.
Leafs fans, like back when they were like losing games and they just, Leafs fans were like cockroaches. You turn on the lights and everybody went when the game came on, right? Because no one wanted to get chirped. That's how I feel right now nowadays. Because it's just been, I don't know. I'm frustrated, dude. I'm
Yeah.
frustrated. Like I
I
just
get
want
that.
playoff hockey. The problem was is we were spoiled growing up because we had 25 straight years in the playoffs, four Stanley Cups, and at the whole time we were chirping Leaf fans and laughing. Well, guess what? They're laughing at us now.
Right.
And Toronto made some great moves at the deadline too. I'm
They
surprised.
did.
And Marner too, the whole Marner's was it Saga or Saga? Like how do you say that? Is it Saga?
Yeah,
Saga?
Saga.
Okay. Like he didn't want to remove his no trade to apparently there was a deal lined up for Rantanen and him, but
Yeah.
I don't know,
He likes
whatever. Yeah, but we're talking about the Wings right now. I'm just I'm just frustrated, dude. Like I just want playoff. I don't care. Go in and get fucking swept. I don't care. Just give me playoff hockey and we slump at the worst time. Why do we always slump at the worst time?
For sure. Yeah. And especially because we had lost, so we hadn't won since the Four Nations Cup break. They played Ottawa and they
Yeah,
played well. They put on 49 shots
I
on
know.
goal. They scored the game tying goal, but because the puck didn't cross the line before it hit
Yeah,
triple zeros, the goal is negated. So
yeah.
like they're just snake bit so
Oh,
bad right
and I
now. And
mean,
like we just need a boost, man. We just
yeah.
need a boost so
if
goddamn bad.
if we had another second and a half, that game was tied. And everybody's like, "Oh, they showed a photo of it. It was like this far from the line at zeros." I'm like, the puck wasn't even fucking in frame yet on TV when the when the zeros hit. So like,
Yeah.
it was close, but it wasn't that close. Like if they had another second and a half, yeah, the game's tied. 100%.
Yeah.
And guess who scored the winning goal for Ottawa? The guy that we fucking wanted on the Red Wings. Guess who got it?
Dylan Cousins on the
Yes.
power play.
Yes, Anna. He was. I don't know who threw him the pass, but someone threw him a pass, and he one timed it home. He made no mistake, and it's just like, wow, he'd look really good in a Red Wing
It hurts.
uniform. Oh, here you go, Drew. Here's a fucking complete nail gun 20, 30 goal scorer for you. Have a nice day. Fuck.
Yeah, it just sucks more so because Drew can now chirp us for life now that we got the guy that
He could
they
out chirp
wanted.
us
That was
anyways. He's always fucking got something to say, that guy. But it's
it.
but now he's got reason to.
Oh, for sure. Ottawa looks good.
Ottawa's fun to watch, man. You ever watch their games?
Oh, I try and catch Ottawa games whenever I can.
Yeah, they're always a good time to watch. Brady, you don't know who he's gonna fight or what he's gonna do next. That guy, he's a complete psychopath, that guy. It's uh but it's just I don't know, man. I just like last year, like why do we always have to do it? Like last year they had to raffle or rifle off like 7 wins in a row and get luck from six other teams. And then like they did everything they were supposed to do and they lost on a empty netter in a Washington game or something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I'll be honest with you. I don't think we're gonna get in.
It's not looking likely at this
Have you seen
point.
the schedule upcoming for Detroit? Look at the
No.
schedules. Look at
I'm
the
just looking
schedules.
at how good everyone has been in the Eastern Conference, right? We are 5 points, well, 5 points out of the top spot in the wild card behind Ottawa right now. Columbus is playing really well. They've got
Yeah.
70 points. We're at 66 and we're at 64
Yeah.
games. So we got 18 games left. We got to make up at least six
Yeah.
to 8 points.
And I
And with our
yeah.
roster right now, I don't see it happening. We're 30 and
And
28, right? We're not terrible, like 30
no,
and 8, but like we're not there yet.
but in that upcoming schedule, I think we have Colorado twice. We have Toronto, I think, a couple times. Like think Carolina once or twice. Like it's not gonna Dallas. Like it's gonna be fucking tough, man. Like look at their schedule. I'm assuming that's what you're doing right now. But it's a tough schedule, man. Tough schedule. I think Florida's in there too. It's not gonna end well, dude. I don't have a warm, fuzzy feeling about this. Let's put it that way.
Well, they play the Buffalo Sabres early this week. Hopefully, they can maybe get a slump buster there. Buffalo's only 5 games behind them, but Buffalo's been behind
Money.
everybody for the past 15 years. So hopefully, they can get a slump bust there. We will keep tabs on the Detroit Red Wings as the playoff push continues. Any other thoughts, my friend, before we close it out?
Just give me playoff hockey for fuck's sakes. I'm done with this.
For sure. We've got playoffs in the PJHL. Make sure you
Yeah.
support those teams. We've got the playoffs coming up in the OHL. Make
Yeah.
sure you support those Windsor Spitfires. They've got two of the best players that they've ever had on their roster right now.
Yeah.
And if you blink, you might miss them.
Yeah.
And of course, we're looking for a playoff push from the Detroit Red Wings as well. From all of us at the Hat Trick Hockey Podcast, thank you for tuning in. Follow us on all of our social media platforms. Make sure you follow us on YouTube as well. Subscribe to those links and bump up those numbers. Any other things, my friend?
That's it, buddy.
All right. Well, I'll see you next time on the Hat Trick Hockey Podcast. Take care.
I've lost my fight with time. My number's up and up the line. I gaze at the darkness, so empty. Just looking for the light. Shout for help, but no one's there. Need a guiding hand, someone who cares. All alone in the darkness, I've realized for the first time I am scared. If I could do it all again, if I had one more chance, my friend, I would rewrite all my wrongs. I would find where I belong. I got lost along the way. I had so much more to say. If I could do